Hey, what's going on guys? It is Needle, and in today's video we are going to be talking about what you can do to get more wins consistently here in Season 9 of Fortnite. Now, for the gameplay, I am using this is gameplay from Tfue and Bugga, if I am saying his name correctly. All props goes to them, all credit goes to their gameplay, but this is solo gameplay, so keep in mind, most of these tips are coming from my solo experience, but they can be easily transitioned into solos, duos, squads, even arena, depending on how you like to play. So keep that in mind when it comes to winning. All these tips are universal, so make sure to stick to the end and make sure you get all the tips for this video. Some of the things we will be covering though, starting with early game tips, how you should be fighting off spawn, if you should be fighting off spawn, where to land. After that, we're going to be covering the mid game, which is basically anything after the first circle closes or so. And we're talking about if it's worth it to take fights, what you want to do for mobility, and kind of how you just want to prioritize playing the game during mid game. Then after that, we're going to be covering late game. So that's more like moving circles and then just the last few zones in general that aren't moving, just how to play those and how to rotate in those to make sure you make it safely every time. Then after that, we'll be covering some other things such as third partying and what kind of loadout you guys just want to have in general, what weapons you should be using here in Season 9, because there are some very key weapons that you need to be picking up no matter what your loadout is. But before we get too far into it, please make sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications if you guys are new to the channel. And if you guys have been here before and enjoy the videos, make sure to leave a like on the video and comment down below what video you guys want to see next from me. But without anything else, let's jump right into the tips. So to start with the early game here, I want to first talk about how it is inevitable that I think personally that the first minute or so, maybe not even minute, I would say maybe the first 30 seconds to a minute really decide everything that's going to happen for the rest of the game. And you may be questioning like, hey Needle, that really doesn't make sense just because a Fortnite game takes like 20-25 minutes nowadays. How is the first 30 seconds going to affect everything? Well, so the thing here is if you land on a chest or land on a combat shotgun, depending on what you get from that really could determine anything. So let's say I go into Tilted Towers, I open up one chest, I get a purple combat shotgun out of the chest, and some minis. I would honestly go out and bet that you have a higher chance of killing the next person you see with that chest than saying you land on a 50-50 weapon spawn, you get a burst SMG. So keep in mind, there is a lot of RNG and just luck in Fortnite. If you're unfamiliar with what RNG is, it's really going to affect you a lot during the early game. It's basically just random number generator. So it's just like, hey, I opened up a chest and just got a scar, but he opened up a chest and got a white tack. So it's just it's just the randomness and the luck of the game. So keep in mind, you're not always going to get good loot, but the better chances you have of getting good loot are going to increase your chances of winning the game. So what I mean by this is you're going to want to land at spots that you're comfortable looting and you know there's going to be decent loot. So just off the top of my head of some places that I can think of that have some pretty good loot and not a lot of people go, first up is going to be Westworld. And if you guys are not sure what it's called, it's also called like Pueblos. It's not an actual POI on the map, but it's kind of next to Paradise on that side of the map. And basically here it has some of the most dense loot in the most small confined area. So there's going to be a lot of good loot and not a lot of people going there. I usually like to go here and mop up like 1 or 2 kills in the early game, and I seem to make it out fine every time. Some other spots I really do like to land though would be, other than that, Shifty Shafts. For whatever reason, I always get decent guns there and always just seem to make it out. Other than that, I would suggest Snobby Shores for the early game, just because those are all spots that not many people are going to go, and it's going to give you the best chance of getting some good loot, which is going to determine the rest of the game if you want to actually go out and get that win. But another thing I want to cover there before I just move past the early game here is, should I fight off spawn? And this is going to be a weird question. The answer is going to be obviously yes and no. If you're in a spot where you actually have some weapons, like I mentioned earlier, you got the combat or you got attack shotgun, chances are you probably do want to take that fight, especially if you're in an arena and you're going to get that shield back. But let's say you don't have a good loadout. No, don't go out pushing people. That's one of the biggest issues I see is people, they'll load into a solo, they get for whatever reason, they'll get an M16, they get an AR, and what they'll do is they'll just start pushing people and trying to get into people's boxes and spray it like it's a shotgun. That's not going to work. Keep in mind, whatever weapon you get, you want to use it like how you're supposed to. So if you get a sniper and you only have a sniper, there's a good chance you get a sniper kill if you keep a good 100 meters away from somebody, but don't be rushing people with it. Same thing goes with the burst SMG. Don't be trying to laser people like it's an AR. You're gonna need to get up in somebody's face with that. So use each weapon how you're supposed to, and if you don't have a lot of weapons, keep trying to loot, keep trying to get shield, keep trying to get other stuff for your inventory. It's gonna help you a ton more. I would rather take the first 3-4 minutes to loot and not get any kills and have a way better loadout and be able to fight anybody after that and go into the mid game. So without further ado, let's hop into the mid game tips now. As far as mid game goes, this is going to be where you're going to get the majority of your kills, or you're just going to kind of hide and make it to the end, depending on how bad you want to win and how you like to play. So the first thing I'm going to suggest here for mid game, though, as a general tip, whether you want to get kills or not, is kind of try to prioritize getting a ball in this situation. If you guys haven't seen already, since they came out Season 8, balls have dominated Fortnite, and if you have a ball, you pretty much are going to get the win. The reference I always like to make with balls, and just to explain to you guys how good they are, Ghost Bizzle, when he was trying to qualify for the World Cup, well, he actually already did qualify, and he was messing around after just to see how well he could do. He landed at a ball spawn every game and didn't pick up any weapons. Keep in mind, he picked up no weapons, and he won twice with the ball and also qualified, I think. I'm not sure exactly, but all I know is he placed top of the leaderboards with no weapons, but had a ball. So if that just doesn't speak to the level of how good balls are in Fortnite right now, I don't know what will. So having a ball mid game is going to help you a ton if you're trying to get kills. It's awesome mobility. You can hop out really quick. You can fly around really fast. If you're just trying to hide and kind of make it to a good spot on the map, a ball is going to be perfect for you also. So mid game, though, it's going to be completely up to you. Only thing I would focus on in mid game that you can't really just do every single time is pay attention to the bus route when you first come in. This will kind of determine where people are going to be at. So let's say the route is going through like Lucky all the way to Sunny Steps. Then you're gonna have a general idea that people are gonna be on the middle of the map right up there and kind of through the route. So think about that. When you want to get some more kills or even avoid people are gonna be where the bus route kind of first went up through. So to make a mental note of where the bus route went, and that'll help you determine your mid-game rotations and how you want to play. And then from there, that's completely up to you if you want to take fights or you do not want to take fights. Now that we have covered the early game and the mid game, let's talk about end game here. I'm considering the end game anything after, I don't know, maybe the third or fourth circle. This is when people just tend to start slowing the game down a little bit and they let the storm do the work for them. And what I mean by that is everyone just kind of camps in a 1x1. They camp in the little box and they kind of just let the storm push people out to get some easy kills. And they're really just trying to hide to get to the end and get a win. But I have some tips for you guys here that are going to help you a ton, especially with rotations in the end game. So when it comes to any circle, though, and rotating in general, my biggest tip for you guys is to rotate early and go to the middle of the map. Why I think this is so important, though, is because if you rotate late, chances are there's going to be people rotating late with you. So you're at a higher risk of getting killed and just being put into a gunfight where you're taking damage in the storm because you're going late and you're going to be catch up and being caught up in the storm. So that's always a no-go. Try never to go late. Go early and go to the middle, though. The reason I don't think going to the edge of the map or edge of the zone would be a terrible idea, but I don't know, it just doesn't work for me, is because when people rotate in late, they're coming to the edge of the map and they're just trying to make it in. But if you go to the middle, there's a higher chance no one's going to rotate in that far, and you have a better chance of getting in the next zone, because, you know, the middle of the map, one of the bigger spots, unless people are not going to, you know, they're just not going to be there, there's a good chance you get the zone if you get to stay in the zone you're already in. So that's my biggest tip, is rotate early and go to the middle. Other than that, though, for late game, the only other suggestion I have is try to keep the ball. You know, that's a given. That's free rotation right there. If you can rotate with the ball, you're good to go late or go whenever. Other than that, though, with late game, it's all just going to come down to having a little bit of game IQ and just a little bit of awareness. I feel like they're not too sweaty online in solos, but I have played some duos and squads where, like, there's a half in, half out moving zone in just public matches, and people are trying to sweat and get the kills. So you're going to need to have a little bit of that quick awareness when it comes to getting the final kills. But other than that, I feel like I have confidence. And everybody watching this, you can make it to the end game and try to fight for your life there. It's not too hard. Kind of just have to camp it out and kind of pick and choose your fights. But I think if you follow these guys that escape for early, mid, and late game, there's a good chance you could get a solo win and probably get 5+ kills if you haven't already, even a 10-kill game. I do it pretty consistently using these tips, so keep that in mind. Other than that, though, after this, I will jump into the loadout that you need. You need to have this. This is the best loadout. I saw it on a stream. You need this loadout. I'll cover that right now. So when I watch streams, I try to watch the best people. So I watch like Symphony. I saw him playing with Innocence, and they were landing like Sunny Steps, and they were taking like the same loadout, and they were saying you needed this loadout every time. Even when they went to other places, Dusty Divot, they still try to get this loadout. And something along the lines of this. One, you want a combat shotgun. That is a given. That is a given here in Season 9. You need a combat. It's the best shotgun. It's a little bit more of a tactical shotgun compared to the pump in the aspect of, like, you need to get away from people and spray shots. So you don't want to be up in people's faces, but if you still get in someone's face with a combat, still going to be good. Other than that, the only other guns you really need, you want a combat, you want a SCAR, just because a SCAR will always be the best assault rifle in Fortnite. Then you want a flintlock. You guys might be thinking flintlock, that's kind of weird, but if you haven't seen the clips of people using the flintlock like a shotgun, it is one of the most powerful weapons in the game. It hits for more than the shotgun does to the head. I think it hits for 180 to the head, and the combat hits for like 120 to the head. So just to show you how good the flintlock is, it literally is better than the best shotgun in the game. Other than that though, you can also use it to get down from height. So what I personally like to do is, if I'm going to build up again a build fight, I can just use my flintlock to hop off and then just shoot it right at the ground and bounce up and not take any fall damage. So if you like to play height come endgame, a flintlock is going to be pretty crucial. Other than that though, I would personally suggest carrying the new chug splashes, whatever those are, or minis, and then probably gliders or like a rift to go just to have a little bit more mobility. That is the most ideal loadout. Some things you could swap out though, just in case you don't like any of those. If you want to take out the flintlock, maybe you're not too comfortable, I would suggest the drum gun. That's what I like, for me at least. And then other than that, you can kind of switch out mobility and heals depending on what you have. I think that's the most optimal loadout for getting a win here in Season 9. Other than that, I want to talk about what I think is the most important thing is going to be third partying in solos. One, being aware of third partying, and two, understanding that you need a third party. So third partying is just a sad part of the game that, it is what it is. When you fight one person, people are watching, more people are going to get involved. So my biggest tip for this is, if you hear someone else shooting, be the first one to check it out. Don't be the person that's late to the party and it's already mopped up and they got their shield on. Go check it out right away and see if there's a good, a good position for you to take shots and you think you can win the gunfight. Two, I'm going to suggest for you guys to try to be more aware when you're in gunfights. It's, a lot easier said than done, but just keep in mind when you take shots, there's going to be people on the map wanting to come and hunt after you just because you took a shot. So keep in mind whenever you engage in a gunfight, you're going to want to try to clean it up quick, and if you don't, there's a good chance more people are going to come swarming into the fight. But that's going to be all for me, guys, on the tips on this video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you guys are new here, make sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications. That is all from me, guys. I will see you guys later. Peace. Hey, what's going on, guys? It is Needle, and in today's video we are going to be talking about what you can do to get more wins consistently here in Season 9 of Fortnite.